Hello, podcast listener and lover. You are tuning into an episode of JJ Meets World where we're going to cover a lot of ground. We're going to talk about film festivals. We're going to talk about fake names. There's even a great conversation here about announcing people when they walk in the door. Sit back, relax, enjoy this episode of JJ Meets World, unless you're on a treadmill, in which case, sweat. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirled as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called J.J. Meets World.
Bingo would be a good name. Bingo sounds like...
It sounds like a clown, but
like a hobbit.
Oh, yeah. Bingo.
Bingo Baggins.
Because it's so close to Bilbo already. Why not?
I have always wanted to have a specific characteristic of Gandalf's, which is that depending on what part of the country he's in, he's known by many names, right? So like over here in the West, they called me Mithrandir, and over here it's the Grey Pilgrim, and here it's Gandalf, and here it's Olorin, and it has lore behind every single reason. I would love to be like, oh, I go by many names. I'd love to have a moment like Obi-Wan where he says, I haven't heard that name in a long time, right?
I think it sucks that they just started. First of all, you are not hiding yourself really well if you went from Obi-Wan Kenobi to old Ben Kenobi. Like, it's like saying like, oh, is that Richard over there? Oh, no, that's Rich. Like, I think people can read between the lines. You know who has different names in different areas? People who cheat on their spouses. They check into hotel rooms under different names. They they're like, oh yeah, I'm dating this guy, his name is Carl. Nope, that's not it at all. I found his Instagram account. I'm
not talking about like alternate identities where you're trying to hide your true self. I'm talking about where those who know you have come up with their own name for you, and so the people in that area refer to you as something because you've had some form of an impact in their lives in some way, right? But hopefully it would all be positive.
I mean, then you're talking about somebody who is hoping to step out of their marriage by going to strip clubs where they are now known as Daddy, King. There's the words just go on and on and on. You know, like, so I guess what you're saying is the Gandalf, you want that fun that Gandalf has, and I am telling you how you can do it, how you can accomplish that goal pretty easily, though I don't recommend it. Hey, this is a hard left in this conversation, but I'm looking at a telephone jack that's in my office right now, and it's got 2 telephone jacks in the same thing, and that's because
telephone jack would be another great nickname.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Here's old telephone jack coming.
Is this whole episode just going to be about us coming up with great names?
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I love a great fake name, and you know who else I think always loves a great fake name is Greg Carlson.
Oh, sure.
You know, he celebrates like when you hit something that's just right. You know, there's enough of an eye roll to it. There's enough cleverness where you just go like, oh yeah, this hits.
I think part of it's too is when a character has a name that's so off the wall that you would go, yeah, a writer would have to come up with that. No parents would name their child that.
You know, my go-to, like, so if we have to sign up for things like the work Christmas party, or like I've actually made a couple hotel reservations under this. My go-to fake name is Dennis Butterslide, and Mr. Butterslide is if he's if he's checking into a Hilton hotel, it's the Reverend Dennis Butterslide, because he wants that sweet, sweet discount so bad. So recently, I was talking to someone about fake names. So it's weird you bring it up. Because we were talking about, okay, so did you ever have a name that you wanted to go by? Not necessarily a nickname, but like, did you ever have, like a variation of your name that you wanted to go by? So, for example, my sister, Christy, but has gone by Christina, CS. I mean, spelled Christy 6 different ways. And part of her like identity is the fact that that's what she's known by. And I was like, did you ever want to go by, something more professional as you got older in life? And my sister, who doesn't, give two F's about anything, which is one of the things I love the most about her, she's like, no, I don't care. Like, what? Someone's going to think she goes like, being called Christina doesn't make me a smarter person. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're really right on that one. Did you ever go to the Toronto Film Festival?
Yeah, I went there with Greg.
Okay, so I'm going this year.
Oh, dude. That was where I saw the Big Bird documentary. I Am Big Bird.
Yep, okay.
That's where I saw The Engineer and The Boy from Gita, both of which are documentaries that just shattered my world. That's a great film festival. So you're going, huh?
Yeah, in fact, I applied for my press pass yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Because I want to they announced what the opening film is, which is a documentary called I Like Me about John Candy.
Ooh.
That was produced by Ryan Reynolds and directed by Colin Hanks.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, I've got to go see this at the festival for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do not want to miss this opportunity. And of course, all my John Candy Reddits and pages have been blowing up about it, and I'm very excited about it. Oh, 2 phone jacks. I just wanted to throw this out there real quick. So I'm in my office.
You looked over the phone jack again. You're like, oh, that's right. I was talking about that.
And the reason there's 2 phone jacks is we had a second line put in when we got the internet in the house, because my parents quickly learned that if you pick up the phone while someone's on the internet, you get the and it turns out I loved the internet. And so I just wanted to be on there as much as possible. I found things like the AOL Instant Messenger. There was a website that was all chat rooms, and I can't remember what it was, but oh my God, I was on there all the time.
There was a website I was on called Hotel Chat. That was excuse me. It was a bunch of different chat rooms that just, it's basically one website, and then you can go to different chat rooms, and like the different chat rooms were named like the lounge or the parlor or the pool area or whatever. Like you were at some French hotel. And then it would just be pick whatever name you want to go by. You could upload even like a photo at one point. And then you'd go in there, and then people would say ASL.
Yep. A/S/L, age, sex, location. Oh God. What what's lucky? We are lucky that we all were not kidnapped.
Oh yeah. I just remember thinking that, wow, this is magic. I'm talking to another person right now, and they could be anywhere in the country. And so, yeah, absolutely. I have nostalgia for the way the internet made me feel at that time, because, now we take it for granted. We interact with the internet all day, every day. But at that time, it was a brand new portal into a brand new world, new level of freedom that no one ever had before. And we were there at the outset, and I miss that. I miss the feeling I would get when I would hear the modem dial up happen.
It in a weird way, it was sort of like what it was like to sit and watch TV as a family, right? Like, right. It was an event. So I actually have something from the early days of the internet and chat rooms that lives rent free in my brain that is now 26, 27 years old. And I think about it probably once a week and how embarrassed I am. And I should probably confront my cousin about it. Our gateway computer, which was delivered in the signature, looks like the side of a cow box, gets set up in the basement. And this is a time when like my parents didn't know anything about electronics, but I had been setting up Nintendos and VCRs enough where, I'm probably in 7th grade when we get our computer, and I make it my job to understand how to get this thing up and running.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. Because at one point we had a really, really old computer way back in the day, and that was one of those like it wasn't Windows, it was like a DOS prompt.
Right.
So you'd put in a disk and you have to be like C prompt, run file, and that was impossible. Like I was way too young to be working on that, but I remember the frustration of it building. So we get this gateway computer and I'm like, I'm going to understand everything about it, which was a horrible mistake because then whenever anyone had a problem with the computer in the house, they came straight to me and I became tech support in my own home. So the situation at hand is my mom, my sister, and I are all sitting around the computer and we get this chat room and she calls her sister in Arizona and says, hey, get on this chat room and we can chat with each other. So my aunt logs on and she's with her kids and my mom's with her kids. My mom also, by the way, was an amazing typist. I can't believe how fast, like maybe she missed her calling by not being a stenographer because it was just amazing. So she starts typing and she's talking to my aunt Ginny, and then like my cousin Heather, like blung, it's like, hey, it's me, it's Heather, and she's typing on it. And at one point I sat down in front of the computer and it wasn't my mom anymore, and my cousin was like, hey, Aunt Patty, how's it going? And my response, and I kid you not, this is what lives in my brain, I was like, it's not Patty, it's JJ, you dumbhead.
You dumbhead.
You dumbhead. And that embarrassment of what I said has lived with me. Not because I called him a dumbhead, but because it's like, how would he know? It like, come on, man. Like you had one chance to be cool with, sending your aunt's ASL and not doing it. And I thought about it just the other day because I was like, this is just like, why? And why do I hold on to it? Because you know what? I bet if I brought it up to my cousin Andrew, he'd have like, I don't know what you're talking about. This doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
So,
you're probably the only person on the planet, unless he's like, yeah, man, I think about that every single day. Like, how the fuck would I have known it was you?
Yeah,
Instead-
right. There's a real world where we've both been suffering in silence for almost 3 decades. And so next time, because my cousin Andrew's also this guy in my family, and it drives me bonkers. When I was a kid, my dad told me he played for the Minnesota Twins. Like, just like a funny little thing to tease
your
me
dad
with.
told you that your cousin did, or that your dad told you that your dad did?
Yeah, like my dad did.
Okay.
My dad played for the Minnesota Twins, is what he told me.
Okay.
And he had a picture with him and Kirby Puckett. And so I was like,
your dad liked lying like that.
You know what my dad liked? My dad liked watching people be gullible, I think is what he liked. Like when he told my cousin that he wanted to be a cowboy, I think
maybe you know what? There's a part of your dad, I bet, that really did wish he could have been all these things, but since he couldn't, he's like, I'm gonna make myself exist as that in someone else's mind for a short period of time.
I want to see what they would say in this situation. So I told everybody, I'm like, well, yeah, my dad played for the Twins. My dad played for the Twins. My dad played for the Twins. And my cousin is like maybe a year and a half, 2 years older than I am, tops. And he's like, okay. And so now whenever I see him, like I remember being at my aunt's wedding and being there with my +1 and being like, hey, listen, I see my cousin Andrew walking over here. The first thing he's going to say is, hey, JJ, do you remember when you told everyone your dad played for the Twins? And I was like, so just get past that. He walks up, and that's the first thing he says. He's like, hey, cuz, remember when you told everyone your dad played for the Twins? And I was like, I sure do. Sure do. This outlet with 2 jacks. We got it because we needed a separate line for the internet. And so my old telephone number at the house, I still remember. Do you remember your home telephone number?
I do not. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I remember
it's been forever.
mine.
The only numbers that I remember are mine and my sister's because they're only 1 digit different.
Oh, that's nice. I remember my home telephone number and the telephone number to Duffy's because I was a neglected child who had to find out when his parents were coming home. So this jack has 2 phone numbers. I know my home phone number like by heart, and that's I think the top jack. And the bottom, well, it's not anymore. We don't have the service. The bottom jack was the one for our internet, but you could still call into it. And so my mom was trying to come up with a way for us to remember how, like, what the number was, because for
Right.
whatever reason, my sister and I were like, listen, we don't have any room in our brain for a new telephone number. And my mom was like, oh, I'll just spell something with it. And so she spent like an afternoon, looking at the keypad, being like, okay, do these spell anything? And this also lives rent free in my brain. If you wanted to call the Gordon's teen number, aka the internet number, you dialed Ada Jazzle, ADAJAZL, Ada Jazzle.
I believe we have an episode even titled Ada Jazzle.
We do.
In memoriam.
So I'm looking at
Ada
this.
Jazzle sounds like a Star Wars character at the cantina.
Oh, see, I think it's one of those names that they give you at the strip clubs when you want to cheat on your wife. Ooh, is that Ada Jazzle walking in? I'm gonna be able to buy that purse.
Like the DJ's announcing whoever's coming in. Yeah, now from 10th Street South, it's Gordon. Everyone knows him from KFGO tonight, going by the name Ada Jazzle.
You know what I actually would like is a world where you walk into anywhere and they announce you like it's the olden days of it'll be like
Lord and Lady Gordon of Winthrop.
Welcome. And you walk into the grocery store and be like, looking for muffins this afternoon, the Takaluka.
If we could combine that with pro wrestling entrances where you get background music that starts to key everyone off to the fact that you're the one walking in.
Oh, that's a great idea. I mean,
yours would be
Streets on the China for the Mr. Belvedere theme. That's a good one. For some reason, I feel like if I were a professional wrestler, I'd be a sad clown.
I think
that's where Bingo Thompson. That's who Bingo Thompson is. He's a sad clown professional wrestler.
He's the sad clown. You would also be the great hype man who acts as the manager who sits ringside and then ends up handing the chair into the ring to the wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So I had an interesting thing this last week where my co-host on the radio asked me if I'm offended that she doesn't listen to this podcast. And I said, well, no, you have to, you listen to me more than anybody else does already. Why would you want to add an extra hour every single week where you don't actually get any say in the conversation? And I was like, but we should have you on as a guest sometimes. Like, what am I going to talk about? And I go, oh my God, we literally do a 3-hour show every single day. We just do a version of that is on, just recorded, meant only for the internets.
Well, here, let's do it this way. When she comes on, I'll interview her because I don't really know Amy that well. You do, right?
Yeah, I do.
So I'll maybe take the host duties for that particular one of at least getting the interview started.
We just had you on an episode of Seat Yourself on my radio show, and she really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I bet the ratings went through the roof, and
we got, you know what, we got some text messages about it from people being like, "This guy's great. Why doesn't he come on more often?" And I was like, hey, listen, what am I, chopped liver?
Mhm.
You know, like you just fine. You want the Tucker Lucas experience? He can come and host a show. He
What was
used to host
what,
a show.
what was she saying that was so nice about me? I cut you off.
She was just saying she's like I really liked having Tucker on, like, and she was effortless, which is one thing, but she's like I also really enjoyed like the stories and the conversation.
Oh
I was
God,
like,
there's so many, like, you know what I think is going to happen is her and I are just going to talk about you as though you're not there, and you're going to have to deal with that. I think that's what's going to happen.
So she told me something recently that I can't get over, which is that she puts a full lemon in her water every morning, like when she fills up her to-go cup.
Like,
And
it's not even cut?
no, like she squeezes the contents of a lemon.
Oh.
So she has like
I
lemon
thought you
juice.
meant she
like,
just grabs a lemon and full skin and everything and just throws it in.
So I said, you put a full lemon in your water, and we're not talking about she's got one of those big like trucker mugs. It's it's the size of a Stanley, so maybe it's 32 ounces.
I mean, really, she's making lemonade.
Well, but with no sugar, right? She's going for the taste of the lemon watered down.
Right.
So I said, why do you put a whole lemon? She's like, well, I want to get that much juice. And you'd think that would be the conversation, is that she wants a whole lemon. But then she told me how she juices a lemon. She has a pair of tongs in her house, and she cuts the lemon in half and puts the lemon in the metal part of the tongs and like squeezes the tongs with both hands,
right,
so that the metal part is the part that squeezes the lemon. And she needs to do a whole lemon because she doesn't get enough juice. And I lost it. I couldn't handle it. And I'm not talking about laughing. I am like, hold on, stop, rewind, hold the presses. I said, you don't need to use a whole lemon, squeeze it by hand. And then so we got into this argument on air about the fact that, like, by using the tongs, she's not actually getting as much juice out of the lemon as she could get. And people were sending in being like, no, like using the tongs gives it so much more pounds per square inch because you're using a fulcrum with it. And I'm like, I am not saying that she couldn't squeeze this lemon in half. What I'm saying is that tong, where it's connecting to the lemon, is the only place that it's really truly squeezing, versus if you palmed the lemon and used all the surface area of your hand, you are now squeezing that entire half lemon and getting more juice out of it. And I said, also, what do you mean you're using a tong? And
right.
It's like this tong is meant to flip things on a grill. It's meant to make you serve your asparagus. You're not even using that correctly. You're not supposed to use the metal part, in between. That is just to provide length on these tongs. It's not to provide, some kind of work. And so I was like, I can't believe this. I am dumbfounded.
To your point, it would be like if you had a full tube of toothpaste and then you just pushed with one finger down in the very center of it.
Bingo.
You're not getting, there's so much toothpaste that's just being trapped in areas you'll get no access to.
So it made me think of this, which is the fact that, like, at a local business, at a local kitchen place, they had a device called a flooser, like maybe a fruit juicer put together. It was one of Oprah's favorite things a couple years ago. And it's this foldable, flat, like handheld juicer. And it's great. I mean, it is awesome for people who regularly want to do something like put lemon or lime. If you... I always think making homemade... Here's the problem with homemade orange juice. People who make homemade orange juice are like, well, I'll just juice the entire orange and put it in there. Well, to be honest, you got to water it down a little bit.
Yeah, that's not enough necessarily for a glass of...
Right,
of
like you get like 10 pounds of oranges get you, 1 glass of juice. So I was like, you need to get this flooser. So she got the flooser, and she's like, oh, when I do it, when I juice using the flooser, it goes everywhere. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, it's literally made with a guide where you juice it over and then it runs, like gravity takes the juice and runs it back into like whatever, wherever you're doing. And so
it sounds like she has a system, JJ. And
well, I was like, are you trying to use the handles of the flooser?
She feels the system is working for her. Let
So,
her have her tongs. Let her have her whole lemon squeeze.
and that's true because everyone just deserves whatever style that they're gonna run with. And why am I trying to yuck on someone's yum when it comes to how they want to run with their actual life?
Well, does she do the reverse to you?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Then I guess it's okay to completely just trash her.
Like, okay, so here's an example. The other day I was making trophies for the end of the year awards for the improv kids. And I was like, okay, well, I got to make, these trophies and I got to do this. And I told her, I was like, hey, listen, I bought these hands. They're like cutouts of hands, and I'm going to put them on a popsicle stick, and they're going to come out of the top of this pail. So it looks like it's giving you a high five, and that'll be the senior, junior, and sophomore awards. And I said, would you please use your really nice handwriting, because mine's a dumpster fire, to write, outstanding senior, outstanding junior on it. And she's like, okay. And I said, hey, there's a matte side and a glossy side. I'd like you to write it on the matte side. And she goes, no. And she's like, don't you want it to be on the glossy side? And I had this moment where I was like, listen, I'm not even gonna bother arguing with this. And I'm like, okay, you do you. And I could see that she really wanted this to be a fight. Like I could see that she really wanted to argue and
You
like
gave
give
up
me
way
the reasons.
too easy.
Yep. And I'm like, whatever. Okay. If that's what you want to do, go for it. And
because then it feels like a hollow victory, right? She wants you to agree with her. Oh, you know what, Amy? You're correct. If we were to do it on that side, that would definitely improve the capabilities of this sign.
And I did not give her that satisfaction. Not one bit.
Isn't it nice to have someone like that, though, where like you're not actually afraid of the consequences of pissing them off?
Yeah, it really
isn't it freeing?
We should all be so lucky to have somebody in our lives that you can
you can just be like, oh, am I in trouble for something? Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
And don't get me wrong, like she and I fight. Absolutely. And I think we fight because we're both passionate about what we do. And I don't know if I'd want to have a partner who doesn't challenge me in some way, and what's nice is sometimes I get a win, sometimes she gets a win. And that's great because if she always won, I don't think I would care for it. And I also know I wouldn't be someone who likes to win all the time, because every now and then, don't you just kind of want to fight just a little bit? Like you just kind of like, every now and then.
I never do. I never want to.
Every now and then I'm like, I'm going to take a contrary opinion to this, not because I care about it, just because I want to.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Poke the bear a little bit.
Then yes, then I think within that context of, this is a fun diversion to raise the stakes on something that has no stakes whatsoever. So if it was like a chunky peanut butter or creamy peanut butter, and I'd be like, if you're not going with chunky peanut butter, I don't think I want you in my fucking life. Right. Like that is fun.
And yet there's this world where you're like, I don't even like chunky peanut butter.
Right.
But I'm going to fight for it right now.
Taking that position is just fun.
Yeah, it is. And I think, dear listener, if you think about it, you've probably had plenty of times where you've done a deep fight for no reason whatsoever. There's a nerdy rummage sale coming up that one of the comic book stores does every year, where people essentially who are like, their mom was like, you need to sell some of these Funko Pops. They get a table and they sell their nerdy stuff, old board games they don't play anymore, things they collected that they don't necessarily want. And I'm very excited to go to it, not because I need anything or even intend on buying it, but I just like to see what other nerds have. It's fun for me. It's a good time. Is there anything you're looking for right now? Are you collecting anything currently?
Well, hell yeah, I'm collecting things currently. I think something that I might find at something like that would be probably media, VHS tapes, or comic books. But that would be, I can get that at the comic book shop anytime, and those wouldn't necessarily be deals.
Do you want to know something ironic is the fact that, like, I remember going to garage sales in, like, let's say 1996, where they were selling NES games for maybe like 50 cents a piece.
Yeah.
Because nobody wanted. They're like the N64 is out. And now people are paying hundreds of dollars for, I'm looking at a Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom cartridge that was $30, and then a Dungeons and Dragons Pool of Radiance cartridge that I think was $40.
And if I would have loved to have gone back and said, hey, bud, you can play all these games, but we're going to hold on to these boxes and the manuals.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to keep them in pristine condition in these plastic cases, but you can still play them. Just put them back. And trust me, 40-year-old you is going to thank 8-year-old you very, very much, very, very much. Because, yeah, like there's a few games that I would like to have sort of in my archive, at some point. And to buy just the cartridge for, say, Final Fantasy III, to buy just the cartridge is going to be $40 to $50. But to buy the game in its original box in good condition with the manual, you're looking at least $350.
Holy moly.
Right. It's just because there are very few people actually kept them in that condition. Very, very few. Most people just threw away the box and threw away everything else. So yeah, so I kind of said to myself, that would be nice, but that would also just be spending money on something that would just sit on my shelf. I can keep the memory of it in my mind too.
Obviously for me is I love to surround myself with nostalgia because it fuels me creatively in a couple different ways. Also, by the way, I know how I'm going to make it in Hollywood.
Ooh.
I came up CBS. If there's a CBS executive, or you just want to send me straight up to Paramount, Viacom, I have got your next legal comedy. So Matlock, huge for you right now, right? But I got something that's even better that could run for 5 seasons easily. And this is the premise behind my show, okay? So it starts off at law school, and it's a young, idealistic young man, and he's in love with his girlfriend, and he's going to propose to her. And he wants to go into like being a public defender. Like he wants justice for people. And so he decides he's going to graduate and serve the people of the world. And on graduation night, right before he is about to start interning and he's going to go away for the summer, he proposes to his girlfriend. And she also is going to law school. She's a couple years behind. And when he proposes, she breaks his heart completely. And no, hold on, wait. Is that how it goes? Yeah. Breaks his heart completely. And when then it cuts to modern day. And in the modern day, he is a very successful attorney, a very successful divorce attorney. And his breakup has made him jaded towards love. And so he is the guy you go to when you kind of want to make it hurt. Like if you had a husband who cheated on you, he's the one that you want to go to, right? If you are a snake in the grass and you want to hurt that other person when you get divorced, you go to him. Then guess who he ends up facing off in court with at the end of the first episode?
His ex-wife?
His ex-girlfriend. Yep,
oh.
That's the one. And then it's all about her being she gets employed by the firm as well, and he has to decide what this is. And does he let love back in the door? We won't know. That's something for season 3, if anything. So that's my pitch. I don't know what it's called yet. Blind Justice, maybe something like that. Which is also the idea of a show I have for a bounty hunter who doesn't have any sight. He tracks people down by smell and touch and hearing rather than sight. All right, that does it for this episode of JJ Meets World. We covered a lot, and someone call Ada Jazzle and see who's got that number now. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. I'm going to make Tucker cut out a chunk of this episode. Don't ask me about it later.